The societies we live in are built upon structures shaping our livelihoods, ecological footprints, sense of community, and opportunities. We are often unaware of how these structures affect us and how things, potentially, could be different. Rethinking the way we live in our societies is always important to ensure that we live in a good way for ourselves and others. However, thinking is not enough. We also need to mobilize ourselves and act on what is needed. Although the structures can seem rigid and hard to influence, grassroots movements around the world help push for positive change by educating, inspiring, protesting, and showing alternative ways of doing things. In this documentary, we will explore the grassroots movement of ecovillages. In relation to the need to create sustainable communities, we were wondering, what is an ecovillage and what can they look like? Our impression was that it was not
bare hippier som løper naken rundt overalt.
But before we explore the ecovillages more in depth, here is a little introduction of us. We are two friends from Norway interested in matters of sustainability. Despite little filming or editing experience, we decided we want to make a documentary about European ecovillages. With help from friends, we renovated a van to use for transport and to live in. We spent 3 months visiting 12 ecovillages to learn what they can look like and to get to know some of the people living in them. Through bringing you on our journey, we hope to give you some more knowledge, inspirational ideas, and food for thought. And above all, we wish for action. Worldwide, there are many different ecovillages, all with different stories and characteristics, such as the size.
600 persone che vivono
We are here
territorio del nord dell'Italia.
Around 600 people living in this territory north of Italy.
4 families and a few followers. Yeah, they are like coming so often that we, yeah.
Altså, det er jo ca. 150 mennesker som bor her nå. Og det er jo, jeg tror det faktisk er 100 voksne og resten barn.
Or the location. From a forest community having bears and wolves as their closest neighbors, to being located right next to another neighborhood, or right next to the train station. But what exactly are ecovillages? According to the organization Global Ecovillage Network, GEN, ecovillages are intentional, traditional or urban communities designing their pathways through locally owned participatory processes. They are aiming to address the 4 ecovillage principles of regeneration, the social, the cultural, the ecological and the economic, into a whole systems design. Furthermore, Jen writes that ecovillages are living laboratories which pioneer beautiful alternatives and innovative solutions. They can have different social structures and be vastly diverse, but are united in their actions towards low-impact, high-quality lifestyles.
So what is the view, what is the principles, what are the values we want to have for the living together. I mean, that for me that's the basic. Maybe it's a little theoretical, but it's felt inside. And then you can build up the physical structure and the connections and all the projects that can come out of it.
So the ecovillages can focus on different things, which the following clips can give you an impression of.
Frilandet er lidt unikt i dens fokus på det gældfrie. Dem, der har designet frilandet fra starten, der var det sådan en one-to-one socioøkonomisk eksperiment, der handler om at sige, vi har en landsby heroppe, Feldballe, hvor der bor, jeg tror, 400 mennesker, da vi kom. Og så laver vi en udvidelse af landsbyen med 100 mennesker. Hvad sker der med den landsby over tid, efter 10 år, efter 20 år, når vi har en 100 mennesker, som økonomisk, strukturelt har nogle lidt andre vilkår? Ændrer det noget på det, altså hvordan den by udvikler sig, eller ligner den alle de andre landsbyer? Og så har folk bare, hvad gør folk med deres tid?
Damaro is an eco-village, but it's not just an eco-village. It's more than this. It's a philosophy, there is also a spiritual part. In other eco-villages, there is not a spiritual part. Someone is focused on natural things or biological agriculture or human relationship. The point is every communities are interested to understand that we are part of an ecosystem.
Bueno, la visión de Arterra, lo que yo comparto es como el querer ir hacia un modo de vida más sostenible a todos los niveles. A nivel de relacional, a nivel de compartir pues, lo cotidiano, a nivel de la ecología y luego la parte experimental. Es como probar cosas y yendo hacia un poco eso, hacia la sostenibilidad.
One of the things we ask all the residents to do here is to have their businesses and their jobs on site in order to add value to the sites and to bring more life to the site as well. So there are people who do a wide variety of different things, and we try to have some sort of connection between these businesses and these things as well. So this connection between residents and their jobs can be seen through many different ways. So we would ask somebody who is maybe doing meditation, would want to teach meditation, they could have a workshop over the summer, a week-long workshop, and bring in a bunch of people. Usually we can host up to 120 people on our site. And so then if they would come and teach a week-long meditation, these people would also need to eat. So then there are other people here who are interested in doing catering. So then some of the money from this workshop would then go to the people who are doing the catering. And those people who are doing the catering would need to buy their produce, would need to buy the food to make for these people. And then they would essentially be able to buy it on site from the people who are growing the vegetables, which would be me.
So the frameworks vary quite a lot, but this diversity also applies to the type of buildings people live in. For instance, in La Cabe, they live in medieval buildings that were discovered in the 70s as somebody went looking for their goats. In Artera, they lived in an old building that previously was a hotel, but which squatters had taken over.
This place was at that time occupied by some sort of squatters, and there was a person who had an image that this could become something different and a reference point for the local territory as well, something innovative. How could this place become something? And then the idea came as bringing this as a transformative, replicable model. So something that could be useful for people coming from the cities, for people who were already living in rural places.
In Saint-Camel, they live in an old farmhouse from the 17th century. In Hurdal, there were many active houses, and in general, there were many houses built with wood or cob. Cob is a traditional building material consisting of clay, straw, and water. As many of the residents work a lot on building their own homes, this has resulted in a high level of recycled and biodegradable materials, such as, for instance, using seaweed for insulation.
We are attending a workshop. Someone organized a workshop where we are isolating a house with seaweed.
Arranging workshops can be a win-win scenario for those who need helping hands and those who want to help out, learn, and get an eco-village experience in return. The fact that many of the residents build their own homes has also resulted in a lot of interesting and fascinating architecture.
Well, the main thing here is diversity. Diversity in the way the houses are built, diversity also of people.
We were lucky to meet Ellen, one of the pioneers of Predjudices Ecovillage in Denmark. She shows us around in her beautiful earth dome. The structure insulates well and promotes efficient air circulation and stable temperatures. They are supposedly 2 to 4 times more energy efficient than regular homes. Other building structures we came across were, for instance, yurts, the domes and the old school bus in Markaba, the construction trailers where the volunteers in Siebenlinden lived.
I'm doing the EVS volunteer. Well, you see how an eco-village, a big eco-village works, and you see how they organize their life and how the community works.
And in Damanhur, the youths had the option of living together in this artistic house.
This is a project which started 10-15 years ago.
The residents live in so-called nucleo communities,
which is a family between 15 and 25 people sharing a house. Everyone is having his own room, but we share like living room, kitchen, bathrooms, and so on together. And we share our lives.
So, the living situations are very different. And living in an eco-village doesn't mean you're always together with other people.
For det som så fint her, jo at alle bor jo I sitt hjem, og folk kan trekke seg tilbake inn I sitt hjem. Men så kan man gå ut når man vil være sosial. Man kan være med på så mange dugnader eller arrangementer man vil. Man kan gå ut og skape liv her hvis man vil. Det så fritt.
Jeg tror nok alle som bor her vil fellesskap, men I forskjellig grad. Og for man har forskjellig kapasitet. Jeg som bor alene har selvfølgelig mye mer kapasitet og tid til å delta I et fellesskap enn de som en familie på 4 som har barn I barnehagen og full jobb.
Det det som fint å ha egen hus. Eller leilighet. Jeg hadde ikke likt å bo hvis det var sånn tettpakket og for det hadde ikke funket for meg. Jeg trenger den der til å gå tilbake igjen, men alle er jo forskjellige.
A survey in Dyssekilde asked about the balance between private and social life, and the results were very different from person to person.
Is there enough social life, or is there enough private life? And that was very interesting to see how several people miss social life and several people miss private life. So it is individual or from family to family.
The room you can see now is actually inside a community house where you can arrange different activities and events.
It's built with ecological principles, like the use of rainwater. So the northern side is all the water is coming here for the toilets, for the washing machines. Then there is solar panels, and the heating system is geothermic. We have a common eating here once a week.
In Artera, somebody cooks lunch for the rest of the community every day.
So we work in shifts. For example, every day someone cooks for the entire community and we have lunch together. And so everyone in the community cooks for the others. And so you know it happens that you cook 1 or twice a month, depending again on how you choose your tasks for the community and your abilities or your passions. When she's saying we're leaving the project, it means that you have some responsibilities and you know some duties also in order to support the project. When you only live here, you know you pay a little bit extra because you don't have the chance or the time to really add to the project.
So there are some private buildings and some common buildings, but what about the ground? In Dyssekilde and in some other ecovillages as well, all the ground is common ground.
From Dyssekilde wine. You know, one principle is that when you build a house and you buy the ground where the house is coming up, then all the rest is owned from the community. It means that just when you step out of your house, it's not your ground, but you can use up to 4 or 5 meters from the walls for your own thing. The trees you plant, they are not yours. The point is that people can pass through the ground. You cannot, no fence. There come a couple anyway, but it's not your apple, it's not your plum.
In the ecovillages, there were always local food production to some extent, often with a variety of different types of foods. In Hurdal, there were community-supported agriculture schemes where people outside the ecovillage could join too.
I'm harvesting for 4 friends in Oslo. Today only 3, and my husband, he brings it to his office in Oslo, and they pick it up there. So that's a good solution. So we have members and they have fresh vegetables.
They also had some energy-efficient greenhouses called valipinis that are dug into the ground for insulation.
It was done manually.
Of course, there are many more things you can grow than vegetables. In Utsikten, they had a forest garden association where they were planting fruit and nut trees, berries and plants for instance, textiles. There were not just people in the ecovillages. We met quite a lot of animals.
Hvordan det for dere å bo I en økolandsby?
Alltså någon gång sådär, även om jag främst äter vegetariskt, så kan jag få ett sug ibland efter kött. Och då är det helt okej för mig. Men då är det eget kött och det är viltkött. Så är det väl egentligen att bo så här. Att bo i ett ekologiskt hus där man vet att allt material går att återanvända. Att det är nedbrytbart, att vi har en toalett som är separerad och så här. Att vi kan använda det. Våran urin ut på åkran och våra fekalier då till odlingar. Fast människobajs måste man spara i 2 år innan man får använda det faktiskt. Det är odlingar. Men man kan ha det på träd och lite annat så då. Men det här att vi i stort sett är självförsörjande på grönsaker är livskvalitet för mig.
I'm really interested in the concept of agroecology, which is a holistic look at agriculture and looking at farms as ecosystems and their relation to the local market and the local environment, and also the grand scale of the entire world. Because in my mind, everything is connected. So here we're trying to incorporate permaculture. These 3 branches of permaculture are the earth care, people care, and fair share. And so basically, we try to have each of these dimensions, making sure that you're being generous, people are being taken care of, nature's being taken care of. We're leaving nature in a better state than we found it, hopefully. But also making sure that we're creating abundance for humans as well. Of my permaculture design teacher, his name is Rakesh, and his definition of permaculture is common sense in a world where sense is no longer common, which I really like. And permaculture would be looking at all of the different resources that you need and being able to use them without wasting them. So harvesting rainwater, for example, but also something like using mulches on your vegetable beds to make sure that you're not losing moisture. So these things would work symbiotically together. In our residence permaculture garden that is already existing, they use techniques like leaving the roots in the ground. You're not turning the soil, which would then end up killing a lot of microorganisms and breaking up fungi and mycelium. And they also do plant partnerships, which is something that a lot of people hear about when they think about when they talk about permaculture. So having certain plants that can they call them nursery plants, that kind of guard other plants and help them grow. There's definitely nitrogen fixing plants as well. One of the other things we have is we filter all of our gray water that we use in our kitchens and showers and things like that. We only use eco-friendly soaps and things like that, cleaners. And then they go into filtration ponds where then they can be absorbed by the earth. And so closing the loop, closing the cycle. All of our toilets on site are dry toilets, composting toilets, so we don't use water for that.
In Denmark, with the use of willow trees, they had an interesting system to treat the water.
Så der er gravet et hul ligesom et badekar, og der ligger en membran ned i. Og så er der en filtdur og noget sandpude, og så ligger der nogle drænrør. Ja. Og så bliver spildevandet fra huset, det kommer ud i en septiktank, en trekammertank, og så er der sådan et overflow ud i en pumpebrønd, og så fra pumpebrønden bliver det pumpet herud. Og så tager pilen næringsstofferne, og så fordamper sol og vind og plante vandet. Og så bliver næringsstofferne til biomasse. Og så høster man biomassen væk, og så kan man undgå, at det bliver, at der bliver for meget næringsstoffer. Men der er nogle salte fra det, vi spiser sådan, og det vil oplagres over tid. og salte dræber organismer. Så hvert 10-15 år, så der er sådan en rør herinde, så skal man ned og suge sådan en lage ud, altså sådan en saltophobning, der vil være i bundvandet. Det skal man tage ud hvert 10-15 år, fordi ellers så begynder de her at få problemer. Ja.
In Dysekilde, the area with the willow trees is called the jungle. Once a year, this area becomes a festival area with many different events and activities. As ecovillages are not your typical neighborhoods, there doesn't seem to be a lack of activities the rest of the year either.
Mange klubber.
Ja, klubber, altså...
Ølklubb, vinklubb, strikkeklubb, brettspillklubb, eller brettspill, ja. Filmklubb. Så du danser og aerobic, yoga, 5 rytmer.
Og da går vi rett fra dansen til badstue, vi som er i badstuegruppa da. Vi har vedfyrt badstua på onsdagene og på søndagene. Noen lørdager er det sånn filmdager hvor man viser mange filmer.
Play day. So kids and grown-ups, we are divided in housing groups. The group that is winning is the organizer next year. So we were organized this year because we won last year.
Having a closer connection with the neighbors can also enable more sharing, like owning a windmill together where the excess energy will be sold on the grid, or different things like
Denne hundevåren her, som er her nede, som ikke vi kan se på kamera. Shanti. Hun har vi på deling med en nabo. Og det er sånn fint når man har sånn fint naboskap. For vi bare sa i Øklandsbyen til noen folk at «Å, vi har lyst på hund!» Så catchet hun opp, og så sa hun «Ja, men jeg tenkte at jeg vil finne noen å dele på Shanti med. Vil dere være de?» Så sa vi ja.
Altså, det er jo mange andre plasser der man har hyggelige naboer og sånn, men her var det vel kanskje enda mer av det gode naboskapet og enda mer sånn at man kan be hverandre om tjenester og låne ting. Spesielt når vi flyttet inn så trengte jeg å låne veldig mye ting da, til å gjøre, fikse og sette opp ting inne. Og da trengte jeg nesten ikke å kjøpe noen ting som helst, da gikk jeg bare og spurte folk da. Og det kjentes liksom naturlig, men...
Da trenger man ikke så masse ting.
Da trenger man egentlig ikke å ha.
Og naboene sine, man deler.
Noen ting har jeg kjøpt fordi det kan bli litt mye å liksom gå hver dag og spørre sånn, kan jeg låne
en skrutrekker, det er ganske greit da.
En spade liksom, spørre hver eneste dag, men litt sånn større ting, litt dyrere ting, det er det alltid noen som har. Og, ja, det er veldig greit å låne ut og låne andre, og det kjennes som en hyggelig ting som man bare gjør da.
This cool-looking owl house in Friland is actually an exchange house. Here you can, for instance, get tools, shoes, clothes, books, or whatever is donated. You can also lend or borrow bigger things, like for instance a trailer. As mentioned, the residents might also share some type of common work within the ecovillages.
It's good to have also small groups of houses that take care of the area where they are. So we cutting the grass and taking care of the trees and something like that. And then having their own meetings and also for getting together. It's a good mix, I think, that we have housing groups, so neighbors, they work together with something. And we have working groups. We have around 30 working groups that all volunteers, of course, that take care of the different functions in the eco-village. It means a group is taking care of the wastewater system. One is taking care of the soil, of the waste, I say the little paths, yeah. Or one is taking care of the common house. One taking care of the office, I am in the group of external relations, and I've been in the one of the visions. At one point we had a vision process that we talk about, okay, after 20 years, so where are we? Where are we going? Or something like that. So there are many groups where people from different housing groups do the work together. So that's also making the social connection more solid.
And they may even earn some income together as a community.
So there's two main ways that St. Camille earns money, because we live in a world with money. So one is the workshops. So we rent out the entire site for workshops, and the other one is the cabins in the trees. And so they work kind of like a bed and breakfast. So then the money that we earn from the cabins in the trees would go back to the eco-village and be divided among the residents at the end of the year. And a lot of times we would use portions of that money to go into a new project on site.
And speaking of the economy, in Damanhur they actually have their own currency. We met people with all different sorts of occupations in the eco-villages. And the people were either working inside or outside the eco-village, or a combination of both. We also met Aninga, who was selling an interesting product we were fascinated by. An invention of people in Damanhur eco-village. It was called Music of the Plants.
This music that we are hearing comes from the plants. So now we have two plants connected. This is one, and we put this sensor on the leaf, and another is close to the roots. And yes, we detect the electrical potential of the plants, and this is translated in music with a MIDI synthesizer, and so you can choose which instrument you want to hear. Okay, this is another instrument. And we use this device here in Damanhur for experimentation, but we do also a lot of things with other musicians. So, for example, last year we organized the first Music of the Plants festival in Paris with a lot of musicians that did a jam session live with the plants. And so we had different devices connected to different plants and musicians with different instruments that played all together. If I leave the sensor, the music stops.
Moving on from the life of plants, how did the residents experience life in the eco-villages?
Så att det föll sig ganska naturligt liksom att inte bara dra ut på landet så där, utan finnas i ett sammanhang så.
Og tidligere så har jeg opplevd at det har tatt et par år hvis jeg har flyttet et sted og komme inn i det stedet, bli kjent med naboer, føle at jeg hadde litt sånn tilhørighet. Og her var det 2 uker altså, så opplevde jeg at her er det folk som jeg faktisk kan snakke med, like å snakke med, hvor jeg kan slappe av. Så for meg var det en veldig jording å flytte her til.
Bor vi en gruppe folk der de fleste kjenner hverandre, og de fleste kan prate ganske lett med hverandre, og jeg tror det er naturlig for mennesker.
Jeg synes at det er fint med mangfold. I en økolandsby så trenger ikke alle å være lik. Alle er forskjellige, og det er veldig mange forskjellige mennesker her. Det synes jeg er fint. Ja, da blir du ikke heller bare inne i din lille boble, du kan likevel bli utfordret, altså meninger og synspunkter, og du kan likevel begynne å tenke. Her så bor vi i et community, og du har liksom gratis, fantastiske naboer, og det jeg elsker best med å bo hit, og det var det jeg håpet på når jeg flyttet hit, det er alle de forskjellige tingene alle kan, og folk, de som bor her er lidenskapelig opptatt av det jeg holder på med, så de virkelig, de har stor interesse, de kan mye om sitt fagfelt. Og bare kunne møte noen mens jeg går gjennom landsbyen og så få masse kunnskap. Hvis man hadde bodd ute på landet, så hadde det kanskje ikke vært like lett. Og man kan gå på internett, men der igjen, da blir man avkoblet. Så det er det med denne menneskelige, ekte kontakten som folk i byen glemmer, men man møter folk hele tiden i byen, men ingen prater til hverandre. Det er helt rart.
Det jeg synes er fascinerende er likevel dette med at vi gjør hverandre sterkere i en økolandsby. Sånn at de som er veldig opptatt av tur og friluftsliv og sånn, de bringer noe inspirasjon inn som kan gjøre meg sterkere da, hvis noen får meg med på en tur som jeg ikke vanligvis var på. Og jeg er fullt dedikert til dans og tar folk med meg på den reisen som gjør de sterkere. Til kanskje da å holde på med gjenvinning av avfall, eller skape fine ting av ting som folk kaster, eller hva enn de holder på med. Og det opplever at det er veldig mange engasjerte, dedikerte, sterke mennesker som flytter her, som vil noe på sitt felt.
Most of people was fully or mostly satisfied to live here. But there was 3%, there wasn't. There was 1%.
So I love this community aspect. I really was looking for a community because I feel like a lot of, in the Western world, at least in the United States where I was living, it was, you know, if you live in an apartment or if you live in a house, even in a city where there's people everywhere, it's like you really don't know anyone. So I was really looking for this aspect of family, helping each other, being there for each other, and instead of, you know, going home and sitting in your little cube after you sit in your cube at work. And also one of the nice things about San Camil is that it's intergenerational. So it was also something I was looking for when we were looking for eco-villages. I think we have residents from 1 year old to 80 years old here.
Noe av det som var så fint da, med å ha tilgang til en gård, til et landbruk, til å ha muligheter som ellers er stengt for en. Og hadde veldig lyst til at våre barn da skulle få oppleve det. Og det opplever jeg jo veldig nå, at jeg tenker herlighet for en barndom hun har, altså. For å gå her på den stien og se på dyrene, og så er vi ned på andelslandbruket, plukke grønnsaker, spørre opp poteter og luke, og liksom hun ser det litt sånn fra hånd til bord. Og at det er en sånn god nærhet til naturen. Selv om vi ikke er de som er veldig aktive til å gå på tur masse og glad i naturen, men ikke liksom friluftsliv er ikke helt der oppe, så får det veldig, datteren vår da, får det inn på mange vis likevel. Og det fellesskapet som hun da vokser inn i, som er naboer som kjenner hverandre, hvor det er mange voksne som hun vet navnet på, som sier hei til henne, og mange barn som vi også har felles aktiviteter med.
Vores ældste, han er 13. Han begynder også at blive så stor nu, at han kan gå op til voksne. Og for eksempel er der en gut, der er rigtig dygtig med elektronik. Så Asger, han kan gå op til Jakob for eksempel og hænge ud en hel dag og aften og bare rode med elektronik. Og en anden er rigtig dygtig til fiskeri for eksempel. Og min søn interesserer sig meget for at fiske. Så han kan også gå derop og forsvinde en hel dag og lave, altså snakfiskeri. Og sådan er der mange steder, hvor den der mulighed for at vokse op og have flere voksne, det bliver, altså det kan også være, at det er sådan andre steder, ikke også? Men det er i hvert fald sådan, at der er sådan en meget tryg lille verden med en enorm masse ressourcer, som ungerne bare stille og roligt kan begynde at suge af.
Like, I know what all the adults are called, but I only play with the kids.
Yeah, that's best, huh?
Well, actually, there's one lady I play with.
Yeah. What do you do?
We play games, and we ride on our bicycles and stuff.
How long have you been living in an eco-village?
Since I was born.
Yeah.
Well, always.
How is it for you to live in an eco-village in general?
I think it's nice because then there isn't so many cars, so you can just play around and you don't have to like make sure there's no cars driving.
Here you can park your kid and the children can play together. And we have here is a cozy room. It's a room where kids come sometimes to see a video and or a DVD and.
So, how is it like to grow up in an eco-village? We were lucky to meet Nicolas, who could tell us about his experiences.
I grew up in Damanhur, and then I started university outside in Turin, studying anthropology, and then I was traveling a lot in Africa and Asia. In Damanhur I had the opportunity to know a lot of different people, also from outside of Italy, from outside of Europe, with a different mind, with different point of view. So this is amazing for a young boy. It's not easy because if you are living in the same house with the people that they grow up in the same context, it's more easy to understand, to feel the same emotions also. If you are sharing the house with the people that has a different life, a different past, you have to work more with your character, with your passions. When you have the possibility to know more different people, like ethnic groups or other culture, you understand for one side that we are all the same in different way. So for me it's one of the most important values in my life. For me, community, to live together, I mean, it's like an instrument for people to grow up faster, to share knowledge. So, I mean, if you are alone, you can study by yourself, you can do a lot of things, but if you are living with other people, each one is it's like a word, and so every second can teach you something, no? So the community, the power of community and live together is this for me. To grow up faster and faster and to do more things that alone you cannot do. It's impossible for you to do the same things that you can do in a community. For me, to choose a community like Damanhur, you have to be really sure of your decision. Also, you have to know between which reality are you choosing. You know? If you don't know anything about outside, how can you choose really Damanhur? How can you understand the power of the importance of Damanhur? You cannot. And the things that I really love in Damanhur from the beginning was the art. all this attention to the all kind of arts, painting, but also create with ceramics, also with glass. It's really amazing. This is not outside. Outside it's impossible to have this world, no?
I don't know if you can see the difference, but that's how it turns out. It's all natural stone, and it brings out, then when it's polished, it brings out the natural color of the stone. And these are...
Damanhur was the biggest and oldest eco-village we visited. But how is it if you want to start an eco-village from scratch? The process of establishing an eco-village from scratch depends a lot on the municipality or country, and the regulations and laws you need to follow. It can be a long and tedious process with a lot of bureaucracy. All the stories are unique, but here is an example of how it started in Mokri Potok.
Yeah, the story begins 10 years ago. We're like meeting 5 or 6, maybe 7 families, thinking about moving into the nature. And we discovered that it will be like better or lighter for us if we are going together and we make like community or some village that we can like help each other. So this was like the first idea. And we are like making this like one project, you know. We are like we're like thinking, okay, we have to buy a land. Okay, land in the forest is not, you cannot build the houses here in Slovenia in the forest. We have decided to look for government property because Slovenia have a lot of government property. So we go to the government and say, okay, we are like 5, 6 families and we want to live in the nature, to help the people around, to discover new ecological like things. And they said, wow, good idea. We can start it, and we have started with the government. They tell us the Kočevska region is the best for these purposes because here was like German minority. All the people left in the Second World War. So they are like empty villages or places they can be settled. We changed the plans together with the government. Make a plan, okay, here in the middle of the forest you can do houses, how many houses, how many people, and then the government sold us the land. Yes.
This was of course only the tip of the iceberg of the whole process. And also, in addition to dealing with external factors, we also have the internal forces in each community. We asked the eco-village residents about the challenges of living in a community.
There is come some conflicts. It's unavoidable because we are different. I mean, we have maybe the same attraction or feeling like okay, I want to do something for ecology, something for the earth, something for the better contact, connection with the nature, human and nature. But then there is all the details of what a person is that is not sure that I have the same as you have, and so we have something common and something different. It happens even in a family, or even in couples. Yeah, sometimes it happens a couple disagree. I don't know if you've heard about it. Sometimes people divorce. Is that new?
Det är inte alldeles enkelt att bo i ekoby eller i fällskap heller. Alltså vi är människor, vi har ju alltid massa olika idéer. Även om vi alla är miljömedvetna, alla vill mycket samma sak, så är det inte, alltså det är ingenting, det är inte alltid smärtfritt för det, men...
Og det gik op for mig, det tog mig lang tid at finde ud af, at hvordan vi er så forskellige som mennesker. At man kommer fra forskellige steder og har forskellige baggrunde og har forskellige handicap. bygget ind, og at man kan godt sidde og snakke om, at man alle sammen gerne vil noget bæredygtigt, for eksempel. Men hvad er det så, når det bliver konkret? Altså, man vil alle sammen gerne male en bygning grøn. Men hvad er grøn? Er den der grøn? Eller er den grøn? Eller er den grøn? Ikke også? Når man så bliver helt konkret.
Jeg tror at jo klarere man kan være i hva man inviterer til, jo enklere vil det være for de som er her å samles om i hvert fall et lite minste et eller annet. Det er de som tenker at nei, det kan komme til helt åpent, og så skaper man det her. Men det, jeg tror absolutt at å ha skapt, altså ha en plattform, invitere til dette er, om det er et lite verdigrunnlag eller noe som definerer hva er det dette prosjektet er for noe, det tror jeg vil være bra.
If you don't have something a little deeper, and it just then it lasts little like a butterfly.
Denne usikkerheten å finne ut av hva er egentlig denne økolandsbyen for, hva er det for noe, liksom. Og når man nettopp har flyttet et sted, så er det selvfølgelig vanskelig å vite at det er et sted vi kan trives, både i fellesskap med andre. Så det var jo litt sånn rar følelse, liksom. Er det godt å bo her? Men når vi har bodd her i 1 år nå, så kjenner vi virkelig at det er godt å bo her.
Of course, some people would come and live here, then they went. So that's fine. Maybe that's a kind of a natural selection.
Jeg tror at liksom, når man er i et fellesskap, så har man jo mer med hverandre å gjøre, og da vil det oppstå også flere konflikter. Så hvis man har både helt isolert og aldri så hverandre, da vil man jo ha ingen konflikter. Men hvis man bor kjempetett, og alle samarbeider om alt, så vil det jo oppstå kanskje ganske mange konflikter. Men da vil man også få et godt fellesskap, forhåpentligvis.
Og vi kender jo hinanden rigtig meget i forhold til, hvad man tit gør. Altså, hvordan familierne ser ud. Og jeg kender mange af dem, der kender jeg ret meget til deres historie. Og også mere end, altså også ting, der er hårde og tunge, ikke? Eller sådan. Og det kan godt være tungt nogle gange, og det kan godt, der kan være konflikter, som man ved mere om, end man måske har lyst til. Og man kan synes, man bliver nødt til at engagere sig i nogle konflikter, man gerne vil slippe for, måske. Nogle gange, men det betyder også bare, at man er mere involveret i hinanden. Og der er en anden form for, altså det vigtigste i det, synes jeg egentlig, det er, at når man på den måde ved mere om hinanden og bliver mere involveret, så er man der også for hinanden, når der er brug for det. Lidt mere i hvert fald.
It's like it's easily an organism. It's not so. It's something living that adapts. Have some needs that have to satisfy, but also adapted to the situation.
It's work in progress. Yeah. I think if you came back next year, for sure you are gonna find something different. For sure. Let's try.
Some were talking about the importance of learning from others.
Now there is some statistic information that 95% of the eco-village initiatives goes down in 3 years. So it's kind of it's really important to be supported in the first years of how to go up and how to start it. And there were several projects. One of them was EU-funded, this CLIPS project that kind of formed and combined these different initiatives and different knowledge that people already have in different, like sociocracy and like different kind of communications, how to make decisions, how to form groups and stuff like that, and how to handle conflicts. There is already a lot of practice how not to be done. So it's kind of, there is a lot of practices now how to do it or how to avoid things that doesn't work. So it's kind of, I mean, I think that all the communities, they're coming together, they're different people. We are all individuals, and then we want to form communities to step into the shoes of others and stuff like that. So it's not easy, and it's no different in our case. So it's,
So it's fundamental for a community to not stay closed on its own. That's the error. It's a fatal error. The biggest mistake you can make. So to remain concentrated on your own problems, on your own needs. So open your mind to the relations and put together the capacities and the forces. To do what? To have human groups who live as they like, as they choose, but respecting the environment. And the environment is everything which is alive around us. So a network of communities, because the goals are shared goals, but they are looked at from different points of views. This was in the 80s difficult to realize. Step by step it's happening. Today it's more easy and it's really happening much more.
It was important to have good tools. Many of the ecovillages we visited applied sociocracy for conflict resolution and decision making. Sociocracy can be used in many different contexts, from political entities to organizations or companies. Hopefully, it can help make the ecovillage life as harmonic as possible.
I am amazed how it's going smooth here. Maybe I should leave because it's become so smooth, so much harmony.
Altera kindly shared some of their experiences with Sociocracy with us, and what it meant for them as a community.
Sociocracy is a big part of my life because I use it in many other organizations, and I find it efficient in the sense that people feel involved in what they're doing. They feel a level of responsibility or accountability. And although we're human and we don't always do things in the best way, it really helps at least to clarify certain things, processes, and there are things we agreed to follow, and we all believe in the values that sociocracy stands for. So it's a way to try to make sure that everyone is involved in certain level in all the decisions, but at the same time that there are some people that have the role and the task of making those decisions. When we say we work in sociocracy, it means that we work with a different decisional system, but also organizational system. At the moment, there are three main managing circles where we take the so-called political decisions. And they are edificio, which is building. Then there is a second group or circle that's called Ecopro, economy and projects. And then there is a third circle which is called Vida en Común, common life. And then from each of these three main circles, then we have operational circles. Ecopro, for example, has Centro de Encuentro, which is a meeting center, and is one of the biggest projects here. It's hosting people, organizing seminars, bringing educational projects and courses here. And this is where everyone pitches in, so from the cleaning of the rooms to cooking to organizing the arrival, welcoming, goodbyes, recollecting money, blah blah blah, and all the money produced by this activity is a support to the economy, the common economy of the project. And then basically the three circles, so that in order to make sure that all the information flows, the three main circles send two representatives to, again, another circle. Imagine if it was a flower, the central circle would be the coordination circle with the representative of each of the other three circles. There are representatives of the different operational circles as well, so that we guarantee a flow of information. And then every 2 weeks, the different circles meet. They produce minutes that goes sent around to everyone via email to make sure that we can all read the different information, bring them back if there is something that we are not so happy with into our circle, rediscuss it there, and then eventually start the process again. The difficulty with sociocracy is the change in mindset and the change in the thinking that it's not you, but rather it's the us. So whatever happens is not just me, it's not my fault, neither my success. It's our fault or our success, our falling or our getting up, but it's us as a group. And so it brings accountability that you need to take, and it also relieves some heaviness in a certain way. It's complicated and simple at the same time, and it takes time to learn it. So it takes time to understand, for example, that when we make decisions, either you consent, have objections, or have doubts. But when we say objections, it's a gift you bring to your group because you noticed something that others people didn't, and if you go ahead with the decision as it has been proposed, something harmful could happen to the project, so to the group. So it's really something that it's not a block, and you can bring also, or should bring, a possible alternative, a solution, something to overcome this obstacle that you see. So it's a different way, and many people don't know when it's a personal thing that they notice or when it's a group, more a collective thing that they're noticing. And again, it's a shift in mentality, shift in behavior and feeling that takes time. Well, when we talk with sociocracy, we speak about decisions that are good enough for now and safe enough to try. So you can't expect to make the perfect decision, and most of all, your question is, does it harm the project, or can we trust this action for the survival and the continuation of the project? So it's also learning to detach yourself from something that you think it's absolutely that thing. There are different ways, and the collective intelligence of different opinions bring that different thing. In my personal life also, there is a methodology that's called inner sociocracy. And so it's thinking about yourself as a group of people, a group of voices, a group of parts of you, and each part has something to say. And so how do you put them in relation one to the other? So if there is a part of you that says, let's have a beer, and another part that says, no, the beer, it's not healthy, and another part that says, well, then let's have a, non-alcoholic eco beer, and another part that tells you, well, why wouldn't you drink a cup of tea? No? How do you find the decision between these four different parts? What are they telling about you? And so it's also a way to sometimes think about myself in a different voices that I hear around. What is another person that has a different opinion from me saying? What part of me could accept, tolerate, understand that idea, that decision, that behavior? And there is always a part, because as I said, we are everything. And so in that sense, it's together with other tools that I use, I think sociocracy helps me to think about the different voices. In order to be able to live with others, you need to be able to understand and live well with yourself. So really work on your own difficulties, and when you get angry at someone, wonder, what is that thing that's making me angry? Because it's not the other person. And if you don't learn this, it's difficult to live in a community, and it's difficult to walk towards a common goal, because you keep on entering in a conflict with others. So it's really thinking that you have to shift something big and be ready for it. Apart from that, it's fun.
Very good.
Yes. Now we have talked about the different voices and opinions inside the ecovillages, but what about those coming from the outside? We were curious to hear whether the ecovillages or the residents had met any prejudices.
Det fanns väldigt mycket fördomar. Orust är ju en gammal jordbruksbygd. Och man har inte varit van vid något annorlunda tänk. Men nu så ser man ju att vi är ganska vanliga människor som har vanliga jobb. Det är många lärare som bor här. Vi är några inom vården. Det finns snickare, psykologer, alltså, men oftast ganska välutbildade människor då, som bor där.
Så naboene har tatt godt imot dere etter hvert?
Ja, nu vill de gärna säga att de bor i Ecobyn, eller i vart fall väldigt nära.
Da jeg sa til noen venner at jeg skulle flytte hit, så reagerte de med sånn: «Å ja, du kommer bare til å flytte tilbake igjen etter et halvt år eller ett år. Å, du kommer til å finne ut at det ikke er noe gøy, at det er kjedelig.» Men det var generelt det der å flytte ut på landet. Det synes mange var helt sånn her forskrudd. At, ja, men i dag lever vi det moderne livet, og da bor vi i byen.
No cinema, no opera, no nothing, you know. I really don't know.
I really think for you.
Yes. Okay, different life, yeah.
Det er kanskje sikkert mange som tenker at det er kjedelig og
At vi er kjedelige.
At det er kjedelig, ja.
Nå synes vi er kule,
mens andre igjen synes det hørtes spennende ut.
Nå snakket jeg samtidig som du snakket.
Men akkurat det med økolandsby er vel kanskje litt ulikt, fordi noen har kanskje lyst til å bo litt sånn annerledes, men de tør ikke helt, og da synes de det er gøy.
I mean, the general idea about the eco-villages is still something that is still not in the minds of people. I would say I'm probably in Slovenia, so it's getting people to kind of being attracted to this kind of life. It's a large amount of people that are really attracted, but being committed to do it, it's way less. There are people who still want to be probably safe, find their balance in the environment that they live, and just go away and live in the nature like here, like in the forest. It's still not a large amount of people.
Jeg tror det har vært stor skepsis tidligere.
Hvorfor det, tror du?
Jeg tror, altså jeg har bare hørt på en måte, litt sånn rundt omkring når jeg snakker med folk og sånt. Så engstelse for hva var dette for noe? Hvem er det som kommer hit nå? Og litt sånne kule folk, litt sånn hippie-style i starten her. Nå bor det alle mulige forskjellige folk her. Alt fra gamle hippier til advokater og sivilingeniører, så det er veldig forskjellige folk som bor her. Men jeg tror nok det var en engstelse og skepsis i starten. For det er jo en stor community på en måte. Det er mange mennesker til å være en så liten kommune.
Det er mange som ikke forstår hva økolandsby er.
Ja, men det forstod jeg kanskje ikke helt vi heller før vi flyttet hit, for vi var ikke helt sikre på hvordan det kom til å bli.
Mange trodde det var sånn bare hippier som løper naken rundt overalt.
Maybe there's still this idea of that people think that hippies live together, or that people are living as hippies.
As many ecovillages started in the 60s and 70s as a part of the Back to the Land movement, they are commonly associated with the often negatively connotated word hippies. Regardless of what it means to be a hippie in these days, or whether there are many hippies in ecovillages, we thought Coboldo said some very wise words about prejudices.
Prejudice, it's always existing. But it's in all peoples. It's a cultural thing. If you notice, if you do something which is different to the norm, there's always somebody saying, "Oh, what are you doing?
Non è normale.
It's not normal."
Chi ha deciso cos'è normale?
But who has decided what's normal and what's not? No one. That's curious, huh? Isn't it?
Sempre nella storia del genere umano.
Because always in the story of humankind, to exit of normality is meaning to judge something,
soprattutto da chi non ti conosce.
And especially being judged by those who don't know you.
Quindi sì, esistono.
Yes, there are existing a lot of prejudice.
Il pregiudizio si affronta in un solo
and
modo.
We meet them in an only way.
Con l'esempio.
What an example.
Cosa più semplice.
It's the simplest thing.
Se ci sono problemi,
if there are any problems, we can talk about it, we can explain.
ma soprattutto contano ancora una volta le
But
nostre
still,
azioni.
again, one more time, our actions are counting. What we're doing for real, which is not damaging the environment and not harming anybody. So the prejudice it will be always there. But everyone who is living on his, even if you live on your own in the city, you always have that from someone. Usually people react coming back to normal behavior. Your life is then extinguished step by step, and you become
colorato, sempre più grigio.
Gray and less colorful.
Quella è la vera morte.
That's the real death, because it's the death of your spirit. It's the death of your real freedom, which is the freedom of choice. That's why you have to have the will. You have to have the will to do.
Trovare la forza
to
di dire,
find the force. I know that's not easy.
È molto più facile rimanere
It's
dentro
much easier to remain on the tracks of normality.
No eco-village is all perfect, and although they are all different from each other, some people resonate more with the eco-village idea than others. One thing is certain, and that is that, compared to how humanity has lived for millennia, the way we live in modern societies is a big step away from this normality.
It used to be that people were sharing together, or you lived together way back. And things have changed somehow, and I think it has to change again, because we all became very individual, and I think a lot of people are missing bonding also.
When learning about environmental degradation, biodiversity loss, climate change, waste issues, inequality, lifestyle diseases, mental health problems, and so forth, it is very understandable that people want alternatives that are not only sustainable for the world, but also for themselves.
Så en ting som viktig for meg å komme ut av den der evige sirkelen der du alltid skal ha bedre og større og nyere, og heller være fornøyd med det vi har. Og klare oss med det vi har. Og da kan man også kanskje jobbe mindre og ha mer tid til å nyte livet. Jeg føler også at de tingene som er bra for jorda også er bra for meg selv. Som for eksempel å ikke alltid ønske å få bruke mer da. Sånn som mye av samfunnet er lagt opp til vekst, der man skal tjene mer og forbruke mer. Men det er jo negativt for miljøet, men jeg synes også det er negativt for meg selv. Da. Så derfor ønsker jeg å begrense, eller stoppe den sirkelen.
Og fortsette å lære.
Ja, så selv om det hadde hatt ingen, for noen mener jo at det spiller ingen rolle, det mener jo ikke vi da. Vi mener jo at måten mennesker forbruker på, det har noe å si for miljøet. Men selv om det ikke hadde hatt det, selv om det skulle eventuelt vise seg at det har ingenting å si, så vil jeg si at en mer nøktern måte å leve på er godt for meg selv.
Når man kommer ut i naturen, og det er jeg helt sikker på er sånn for alle, så må du kjenne på ting. Du er liksom i kontakt med det som alt egentlig er, og det vi er. Og det er ikke sånn at du kan døyve liksom følelsene du har ved å høre at masse som skjer, eller masse lyder, eller at du kan gå ut på byen, eller på en kafé, eller møte venner hele tiden. Altså, du kan jo møte venner her, men det er liksom noe annet. Og da blir du litt tvunget til å kjenne. Så jeg tror kanskje det at når man flytter ut i naturen, så blir man tvunget litt til å se innover. Kanskje man har det litt vanskelig en liten stund, og så...
For min del, så ja, det var vel kanskje en av de tingene som gjorde at liksom kom til et punkt der jeg ikke liksom, der jeg virkelig kjente at nå har jeg gjort for mye over mange år, jobbet for mye for eksempel. Og det kan jo hende at det hadde vært vanskeligere å kjenne på det hvis jeg ikke hadde bodd her da.
Ja, og også det der med å reflektere over seg selv og sine valg og hva man gjør. Jobbe med seg selv samtidig også. Man skal ikke bare jobbe med å hive bosset riktig, for eksempel. Det er liksom et arbeid inni her også, da.
This might sound funny. One of the biggest things that I'm doing, how I'm living my life the way I want it to be done, is actually loving myself and allowing myself to have time to do the things that I want to do and believe in. And believing that it's good for me to do those things.
What is development is an important question we have to ask ourselves today, as well as what are the values that are important for us. If how you live is not coherent with what you feel is important, it's easy to feel stuck in...
Like a cage, you're not exiting.
Ma la gabbia ha la porta aperta.
But the cage has an open door.
L'azione,
Action,
significa
to
aprire la
act,
porta della gabbia.
means to open this door of this cage, of your cage.
E fare quello che ti
And
fa
to
stare
do what makes you feel happy, feeling fine.
bene, alla ricerca della vita.
Of the research of life, of colors, of experiences.
Ci vuole forza.
And you need a bit of a power and will.
È quello che fanno le comunità con
And
molti
that's
errori,
what
sbagliati.
communities do with a lot of errors and a lot of mistakes.
È quello che fanno gli ecovillaggi.
But also the ecovillages,
Eco-housing.
the co-housing experience.
Aprire la porta della gabbia.
They are all opening this door of this
E
cage
uscire
and exit.
dagli schemi che si ripetono per tutta la vita.
And they're exiting of these schemes you're repeating your whole life.
Quando riesci a fare questo
When you manage to do so,
e guardi da fuori la gabbia dove eri,
and you look from the outside to this cage where you have been,
lì ti accorgi che era una gabbia.
then, only then you realize that this has been a cage.
Fino a quando sei all'interno,
As
pensi che quello sia il
long
mondo.
as you're inside, you think, wow, that's the world.
Ecco a cosa servono queste esperienze.
That's why we do these experiences,
Farti aprire gli occhi.
to open your eyes.
We found that many of the residents had previously been living in big cities, but were longing for a different life.
So when I was living in Connecticut in the United States, I had a good job. I was a sustainability consultant. So I was working on skyscrapers and really like working with architects and engineers and helping them to make their buildings more environmentally friendly and energy efficient, which was awesome and great. But at the end of the day, I didn't really feel like I was being the change that I wanted to see in the world. And I just felt like I was always sitting at a desk and pushing paper, and it really wasn't what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be. So a lot of things happened. I had a lot of things kind of fall out in my life and decided that it was time to change. So I decided to go back for a master's degree in agro-ecology in Norway and kind of embarked on this new way of being and living what I believe. And it was really hard and really easy at the same time because my heart knew where I wanted to go, but you know, the fears of that society kind of reminds us all the time and every day were constantly there as well. But I feel like the more I believed in my dreams and the more I believed that another world is possible, the easier it became. And now I'm here and very happy.
although people or entities do not understand or might expect different things.
But the people around us and the government, they look us on the beginning, okay, they are like some intellectual people, all good settled, they have like jobs and they have like everything, and they will build like, I don't know, village like in old times, and they will be like tourists there, and they have like money and things. That after 2 years they look at us and say, oh, we are like no businessmen, we are like just people who love the nature, you know.
Many of the residents emphasized the importance of staying connected.
The current system that we are kind of having is not really working, at least the way I see it. And trying to influence it from within it sometimes is very difficult. And at the same time, I do not believe that just, you know, get out of the system and escape from the system is the solution for. It might work for one of the, but not for the whole society. But trying to get out, stay connected with the system, and trying to connect something new, it's a little bit different. So it's kind of could be a good examples that show people how could we live, and to be much more connected, much more happy, and in the end have a much better life than all the rest. So it's kind of creating the system and examples that people can see and they can relate to, and they can kind of get courage to make the first steps into communities. And these are the generation hopefully continuing our work afterwards.
We know English!
You know English.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Oh, so sweet.
Yeah. And this is also what we want, is to generations like this to live in a better world that we do. So this is one of the values that kind of also shared.
Der har altid egentlig været meget fornuftigt fokus på og forsøg på at kommunikere og blive forstået. I starten var der invitation til politikere hver år til at komme herud og en rundtur, og vi havde en repræsentant fra politikerne til at være med til vores årlige møde, sådan så de ligesom de havde en fornemmelse af, hvad der skete. En af de ting, der var meget bevidsthed om fra starten, det var, at vi ikke ville være et parallelsamfund. Så vi har besluttet os for, at vi vil ikke have vores egen skole og børnehave, og vi vil ikke have vores egen butik. Så tanken var, at hvis man synes, at for eksempel at skolen den skulle være anderledes, så må man gå ind i skolebestyrelsen og engagere sig lokalt, ikke også? Fordi vi vil have den der pingpong. Fordi folk har lært hinanden at kende meget via institutionerne i byen, så er der har det også smittet meget af i byen. Så derfor tror jeg, det kommer til at være hele byen, der sker nogle spændende ting i. Ja. Og når man sammenligner med andre steder, lignende størrelse byer rundt om i vores landsdel, så er det lidt specielt, så er det lidt unikt. Og vi kan jo ikke sige hvorfor, men altså, der er noget, der er sket i det hele det her område af Feldballe, altså vores landsby. Det er den by med den laveste gennemsnitsalder. At folk flytter til, det går godt for friskolen, den vokser, der sker en masse med kultur og sådan, ikke? Og det er sådan nogle ting, som måske tænker, det skyldes måske, der er kommet noget energi ud af det, ikke? Så efterhånden synes vi her efter 16 år, når man sådan kigger på det, at det virker til, at der sker noget, der kommer mere liv i lokalsamfundet og sådan. Og det var det, der var ligesom eksperimentet i det. Og så er det ikke til at vide, hvad sker det så om 10 år, altså. Men altså min fornemmelse er, at det bliver bare mere og mere spændende.
Knowing that, this place is a resource for the area. It's in a territory, in a municipality that is depressed economically. It's not so much new work and so on. But here it's a kind of a resource because there is people with resources, very few unemployed. And so they ask us, can we make something like this on the other side of the road, of the railroad? And we talk with the mainstream village because we are part of a bigger village. We are the majority, but anyway, but we are good communication with the mainstream village.
Så hele Danmark kender til friland. Ja. Altså, det blev meget, meget kendt, og det var et projekt, der handlede om at formidle både de gode og dårlige erfaringer. Og det synes jeg havde en stor værdi. Så der var fokus på for eksempel, hvordan kan du bygge med halm? Hvordan kan du bygge en masseovn? Hvordan kan du lave dine egne solfanger? Hvordan kan du holde bier i haven? Eller, det blev også sådan et livsstilsprogram, så der var hjemmesider og fjernsyn og radio, og det stod på i hvert fald 3 år intensivt med mindst et program hver måned. Vi har stadigvæk, jeg tror, mindst 50 rundvisninger om året. Så kommer der nogle arkitektstuderende, så kommer der nogen fra en teknisk forvaltning, der gerne vil lære om spildevandsanlæg, eller så kommer der nogen, der vil ud og starte en økolandsby. Så kommer der en skoleklasse, hvor lærerne synes, det var spændende, og de vil gerne have, at børnene ser et anden måde at leve på i Danmark og sådan noget.
Speaking of the way ecovillages reach out and stay connected, we must never forget how interconnected we all are, and how things from the past are influencing us and how we can influence the future.
I really try to make sure that I'm a part of this bigger thing, and I'm connected to this larger world, and all of these communities and connections that we have throughout humanity, throughout forests, and like every little cell of everything is just an energy, all the same type of energy. And yeah, so I think that we're all connected, and I like being connected to it all. Yeah. That was a little vague, but it's hard to kind of explain that.
We are all connected, that people, different nations, different parts of the world, but we also, as species, we are connected, and also as a dimension of the life, you know. Even stones, we are connected to them. The mountains, the rivers, to the lucky countries who have mountains and rivers. That's something I miss here.
Quindi tutto ciò che è vivo, tutto ciò che esiste,
all what is
forze,
living, what
energie,
is
intelligenze.
Forces, energies, intelligences, everything which is helping to create this relation. So meditation,
La materia,
the matter, which is a community, you can see that the thought enters into the matter.
La materia che però cambia come cambia un corpo umano.
The matter changes as a physical body is changing.
E a questo punto nuovi
And at this point,
nuovi progetti,
new goals, new projects,
tutto quello che in qualche
everything
modo può
which in
richiamare a nuove
some
persone, ma crea
place
relazioni nel mondo.
can recall other people and create relations in the world.
Con l'idea di
With the idea
costruire un percorso nostro, cioè
to construct an original path.
Yeah, but what I really want to see in a group of people is connection. It's kind of indeed the connection is the the base that we can really work something out of the being people and seeing people behind the words and the masks and stuff that we put on.
I mean, we know, I mean, we have it from the very beginning. I mean, when we are born, we don't divide. We are connected. We depend also. I mean, as a small child is there, it's very dependent. It's in a way it's a contradiction when you say every person is born free. You are not. You're born connected. You're born dependent, and then you can reach a kind of amount of independence, but it's always interconnected. So you are dependent from life, or dependent from the trees, from the animals, from the ground, from the earth, the sky, the sun, dependent from all this without thinking about it. But once you become aware of it, I feel then you are free. Free from this illusion of separation like this. And then you can be alone, because you are never alone, because anywhere you are with something or with somebody. So it's that's what I feel is my background, and it somehow is the common ground of the ecological movement. It's a new awareness of this interconnection with this bigger challenge of the climate, human-made climate changes. We see it more and more, because then we become, oh, wait a minute, we depend from how the air is good. I mean, it's a basic that we have a clean air, and the water, and this and that. So we become more aware of our connections, and then we become more free and more feeling at home, not separated. We are home. We have such a big, wonderful planet. That's home. Yes, and then that's why I live here, but in a way I could live somewhere else, because now I know the home is not just in Dusekil.
Jeg synes det er så gøy å se for seg at jordkloden er egentlig en sånn UFO. Og så er vi på denne, og vi flyter bare ut i universet. Og det er liksom her vi bor, så hvis vi ødelegger den, så er det ingen UFO liksom å bo på. Så å kunne gjøre våres. Og så er det selvfølgelig ikke så lett å vite alt man kan gjøre nå.
People can choose how they want to live, and it doesn't have to be in an eco-village. I think you can also live in a city and be more aware of what you're doing, what you're using. There are many projects already in cities. People are coming together, having a garden where you can meet other people and doing something. Yeah, that's possible.
For a more sustainable future, the world needs brave, creative people who are not afraid of exploring new ideas. Let's never underestimate the power of ripple effects. An idea that is shared can open doors for many others. Although we may not be aware of them all, there are always many options of how to contribute if we want to be
taking care of the environment, taking care of the earth, and taking care of people. And all the living beings that are here.
Okay, welcome. Thank you. Yes. So, we are gathered here today to toast the arrival and the departure of this van.